Allegory. 80 languages. Pearl, miniature from cotton. Nero AX. The dreamer stands on the other side of the stream from the Pearl Maiden. Pearl is one of the greatest allegories from the High Middle Ages. 1. Salvator allegory of fortune, representing Fortuna, for the concept in mathematics, see allegory, mathematics. As a literary device or artistic form, an allegory is a narrative or visual representation in which a character, place, or event can be interpreted to represent a meaning with moral or political significance. Authors have used allegory throughout history in all forms of art to illustrate or convey complex ideas and concepts in ways that are comprehensible or striking to its viewers, readers, or listeners. Writers and speakers typically use allegories to convey hidden or complex meanings through symbolic figures, actions, imagery, or events, which together create the moral, spiritual, or political meaning the author wishes to convey. 2. Many allegories use personification of abstract concepts. Etymology, edit. First attested in English in 1382, the word allegory comes from Latin allegoria, the Latinization of the Greek allegoria, veiled language, figurative, for, literally speaking, about something else. 5, which in turn comes from alus, another, different. 6, and agoruo, to harangue, to speak in the assembly. 7, which originates from agora, assembly. 8. Types, edit. Northrop Frye discussed what he termed a continuum of allegory, a spectrum that ranges from what he termed the naive allegory of the likes of the Fairy Queen, to the more private allegories of modern paradox literature. 9. In this perspective, the characters in a naive allegory are not fully three-dimensional, for each aspect of their individual personalities and of the events that befall them embodies some. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Goddess of Luck, with the Horn of Plenty. Allegory of the recognition of the Empire of Brazil and its independence. The painting depicts British diplomat Sir Charles Stuart presenting his letter of credence to Emperor Pedro I of Brazil, who is flanked by his wife Maria Leopoldina, their daughter Maria the Gloria, later Queen Maria II of Portugal, and other dignitaries. At right, a winged figure, representing history, carving the great event on a stone tablet. 3. Marco Marcola, mythological allegory. Moral quality or other abstraction, the author has selected the allegory first, and the details merely flesh it out. Classical allegory, edit. The origins of allegory can be traced at least back to Homer in his quasi-allegorical use of personifications of, for example, terror, Deimos, and fear, Phobos, at ill. 115 f. 10. The title of first allegorist, however, is usually awarded to whoever was the earliest to put forth allegorical interpretations of Homer. This approach leads to two possible answers: Theogons of Rhegium, whom Porphyry calls the first allegorist, Porph. Quarist, whom 1.240.14241.12 Shrad, or Phaeacids of Syros, both of whom are presumed to be active in the 6th century BCE, though Pherecydes is earlier and as he is often presumed to be the first writer of prose. The debate is complex, since it demands we observe the distinction between two often conflated uses of the Greek verb algoron, which can mean both to speak allegorically and to interpret allegorically. 11. In the case of interpreting allegorically, Theognis appears to be our earliest example, presumably in response to philosophical moral critiques of Homer, for example, Xenophanes Fr. 11. Dials Crans, 12. Theognis proposed symbolic interpretations, whereby the gods of the Iliad actually stood for physical elements. So, Hephaestus represents fire, for instance, for which cfr 2 in Dials Crans, 13. Some scholars, however, argue that Pherecydes' cosmogonic writings anticipated Theognis' allegorical work, illustrated especially by his early placement of time, chronos, in his genealogy of the gods, which is thought to be a reinterpretation of the Titan Chronos from more traditional genealogies. In classical literature, two of the best-known allegories are the Cave in Plato's The Republic, Book 7, and the story of the stomach and its members in the Speech of Menenius Agrippa, Livy 232. Among the best-known examples of allegory, Plato's allegory of the cave forms a part of his larger work The Republic. In this allegory, Plato describes a group of people who have lived chained in a cave all of their lives, facing a blank wall, 514 AB. The people watch shadows projected on the wall. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. By things passing in front of a fire behind them and begin to ascribe forms to these shadows, using language to identify their world, 514C515A. According to the allegory, the shadows are as close as the prisoners get to viewing reality, until one of them finds his way into the outside world where he sees the actual objects that produced the shadows. He tries to tell the people in the cave of his discovery, but they do not believe him and vehemently resist his efforts to free them so they can see for themselves, 516E518A. This allegory is, on a basic level, about a philosopher who, upon finding greater knowledge outside the cave of human understanding, seeks to share it as is his duty, and the foolishness of those who would ignore him because they think themselves educated enough. 14. In late antiquity, Marcianus Capella organized all the information a 5th century upper-class male needed to know into an allegory of the wedding of Mercury and Philologia, with the 7 liberal arts the young man needed to know as guests. 15. Also, the Neoplatonic philosophy developed a type of allegorical reading of Homer, 16, and Plato. 17. Biblical allegory, edit. Other early allegories are found in the Hebrew Bible, such as the extended metaphor in Psalm 80 of the vine and its impressive spread and growth, representing Israel's conquest and peopling of the Promised Land. 18. Also allegorical is Ezekiel 16 and 17, wherein the capture of that same vine by the mighty eagle represents Israel's exile to Babylon. 19. Allegorical interpretation of the Bible was a common early Christian practice and continues. For example, the recently rediscovered Fourth Commentary on the Gospels by Fortunatus of Aquileia has a comment by its English translator, the principal characteristic of Fortunatus Exegesis is a figurative approach, relying on a set of concepts associated with key terms in order to create an allegorical decoding of the text. 20. Medieval allegory, edit. See also, Four Senses of Scripture. Allegory has an ability to freeze the temporality of a story, while infusing it with a spiritual context. Medieval thinking accepted allegory as having a reality underlying any rhetorical or fictional uses. The allegory was as true as the facts of surface appearances. Thus, the papal bull Unum Sanctum 1302 presents themes of the unity of Christendom with the Pope as its head, in which the allegorical details of the metaphors are adduced as facts on which is based a demonstration with the vocabulary of logic. Therefore of this one and only Church there is one body and one head. Not two heads as if it were a monster. If, then, the Greeks or others say that they were not committed to the care of Peter and his successors, they necessarily confess that they are not of the. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. British School 17th century. Portrait of a lady, called Elizabeth, Lady Tanfield. Sometimes the meaning of an allegory can be lost, even if art historians suspect that the artwork is an allegory of some kind. 21. Sheep of Christ. This text also demonstrates the frequent use of allegory in religious texts during the medieval period, following the tradition and example of the Bible. In the late 15th century, the enigmatic Hypnerotomercia, with its elaborate woodcut illustrations, shows the influence of themed pageants and masks on contemporary allegorical representation, as humanist dialectic conveyed them. The denial of medieval allegory as found in the 12th century. Works of Hugh of St. Victor and Edward Topsell's History of Four-Footed Beasts, London, 1607, 1653, and its replacement in the study of nature with methods of categorization and mathematics by such figures as naturalist John Ray and the astronomer Galileo is thought to mark the beginnings of early modern science. 22. Modern allegory, edit. Since meaningful stories are nearly always applicable to larger issues, allegories may be read into many stories which the author may not have recognized. This is allegorsis, or the act of reading a story as an allegory. Examples of allegory in popular culture that may or may not have been intended include the works of Bertolt Brecht, and even some works of science fiction and fantasy, such as the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. The story of the apple falling onto Isaac Newton's head is another famous allegory. It simplified the idea of gravity by depicting a simple way it was supposedly discovered. It also made the scientific revelation well known by condensing the theory into a short tale. 23. Poetry and fiction, edit. While allegorsis may make discovery of allegory in any work, not every resonant work of modern fiction is allegorical, and some are clearly not intended to be viewed this way. According to Henry Littlefield's 1964 article, L. Frank Baum's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, may be readily understood as a plot-driven fantasy narrative in an extended fable with talking animals and broadly sketched characters, intended to discuss the politics of the time. 24. Yet, George MacDonald emphasized in 1893 that a fairy tale is not an allegory. 25. J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings is another example of a well-known work mistakenly perceived as allegorical. As the author himself once stated, "I cordially dislike allegory in all its." Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Detail of Laurent de la Hires. Allegory of Arithmetic, c. 1650. Manifestations, and always have done so since I grew old and wary enough to detect its presence. I much prefer history true or feigned with its varied applicability to the thought and experience of readers. I think that many confuse applicability with allegory, but one resides in the freedom of the reader, and the other in the purposed domination of the author. 26. Tolkien specifically resented the suggestion that the book's one ring, which gives overwhelming power to those possessing it, was intended as an allegory of nuclear weapons. He noted that, had that been his intention, the book would not have ended with the ring being destroyed but rather with an arms race in which various powers would try to obtain such a ring for themselves. Then Tolkien went on to outline an alternative plot for Lord of the Rings, as it would have been written had such an allegory been intended, and which would have made the book into a dystopia. While all this does not mean Tolkien's works may not be treated as having allegorical themes, especially when reinterpreted through postmodern sensibilities, it at least suggests that none were conscious in his writings. This further reinforces the idea of forced allegorsis, as allegory is often a matter of interpretation and only sometimes of original artistic intention. Like allegorical stories, allegorical poetry has two meanings: a literal meaning and a symbolic meaning. Some unique specimens of allegory can be found in the following works. Edmund Spenser, The Fairy Queen. The several knights in the poem actually stand for several virtues. 27. William Shakespeare, The Tempest, an allegory of the civilization/barbarism binary as it pertains to colonialism. John Bunyan, The Pilgrim's Progress, the journey of the protagonist's Christian and evangelist, symbolizes the ascension of the soul from earth to heaven. Nathaniel Hawthorne Young Goodman Brown, The Devil's Staff, symbolizes defiance of God. The characters' names, such as Goodman and Faith, ironically serve as paradox in the conclusion of the story. Nathaniel Hawthorne, The Scarlet Letter. The letter represents self-reliance from America's Puritan and conformity. 28. George Orwell, Animal Farm. The pigs stand for political figures of the Russian Revolution. 29. Laszlo Krasna Hawkeye, The Melancholy of Resistance and the film work Meister Harmonies. It uses a circus to describe an occupying dysfunctional government. 30. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Edgar Allan Poe, The Mask of the Red Death. The story can be read as an allegory for humans' inability to escape death. 31. Arthur Miller, The Crucible. The Salem witch trials are thought to be an allegory for McCarthyism and the blacklisting of communists in the United States of America. 32. Shel Silverstein, The Giving Tree. The book has been described as an allegory about relationships, between parents and children, between romantic partners, or between humans and the environment. Art, edit. Some elaborate and successful specimens of allegory are to be found in the following works, arranged in approximate chronological order. Ambrogio Lorenzetti Allegoria del Bno e Cattivo Govno e Lora Ifti Incita e Campagna. C 1338-1339. Sandro Botticelli Primavera, c. 1482. Albrecht Dürer Melancholia I, 1514. Bronzino Venus, Cupid, Folly and Time, c. 1545. The English School's Allegory of Queen Elizabeth, c. 1610. Artemisia Gentileschi Allegory of Inclination, c. 1620, An Allegory of Peace and the Arts under the English Crown, 1638, Self-Portrait as the Allegory of Painting, c. 1638-39. The Feast of Herod with the Beheading of Saint John the Baptist by Bartholomew Strobel is also an allegory of Europe in the time of the 30 Years' War, with portraits of many leading political and military figures. Jan Vermeer Allegory of Painting, c. 1666. Fernand Lequesne Allegory de la Publicite. Jean-Léon Gérôme Truth Coming Out of Her Well, 1896. Graydon Parish The Cycle of Terror and Tragedy, 2006. Many statues of Lady Justice. Such visual representations have raised the question why so many allegories in the history of art, pertaining occupations once reserved for men only, are of female sex. 33. Damien Hirst Verity, 2012. Gallery, edit. Allegorical Paintings of the 16th and 17th Century. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Albrecht Dürer, Melancholia I. 1514 Unused tools, an hourglass, an empty scale. Surrounds a female. Personification, with other esoteric and exoteric symbols. Bronzino, Venus, Cupid, Folly and Time, c. 1545. The deities of love are surrounded by personifications of, probably, Time, a bald man with angry eyes, Folly, the young woman. Demon on the right, possibly. Also so old women on the left. And others. Titian, Allegory of Prudence. c. 1565-1570. The three human heads symbolize past, present and future, the characterization of which is furthered by the triple-headed beast, wolf, lion, dog, girded by the body of a big snake. The English School's Allegory of Queen Elizabeth, c. 1610. With Father Time at her right, and Death looking over her left shoulder. Two cherubs are removing the weighty crown from her tired head. Artemisia Gentileschi, self portrait as the Allegory of Painting, c. 1638-39. Jan Vermeer, The Art of Painting, c. 1666. Painting is shown as related to history and politics, the young woman being Clio, the muse of history, and other symbols for the political and religious division of the Netherlands appearing. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Jan van Kessel, Allegory of Hearing, 17th century. Diverse sources of sound, especially instruments, serve as allegorical symbols. Flemish August Botertz. Allegory of Triumphant Spain. With Immaculist Banner, c. 1682. Cover of Triumphant Spain and the Laureate Church all over the world by the patronage of Holy Mary, Collection, Hispanic Society of America. See also, edit. Allegorical interpretations of Plato. Allegorical interpretation of the Bible. Allegory in Renaissance literature. Allegorical sculpture. Cultural depictions of Philip II of Spain. Diwan, poetry. Freemasonry, a system of morality veiled in allegory and illustrated by symbols. Parable. Semiotics. Thegens of Regium. References, edit. 1 Stephen Abani, 1989. Allegory. Dictionary of the Middle Ages. Volume 1. ISBN 0-684-16760-3. 2 Wheeler, L. Kip, the 11th of January 2018. Literary terms and definitions, a literary vocabulary. Carson. Newman University. Retrieved 19 May 2020. 3 Schwartz, Lilia Moritz, 1998. As Barbas do Imprador, de Pedro II, Monica Numbers Tropicos. São Paulo, Companhia das Letras. p. 181. ISBN 85-7164-837-9. 4 Henry George Liddell, Robert Scott, A Greek-English Lexicon, on Perseus Digital Library. 5 Etymology of Allegory by Etymonline. etymonline.com. Retrieved 4 July 2024. 6 Henry George Liddell, Robert Scott, A Greek-English Lexicon, on Perseus Digital Library. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 7 Henry George Liddell, Robert Scott, A Greek-English Lexicon, on Perseus Digital Library. 8 Henry George Liddell, Robert Scott, A Greek-English Lexicon, in the Perseus Digital Library. 9 Fry, Northrop, 1957. Second essay, Ethical Criticism, Theory of Symbols. In Damrusk, David. ed. Anatomy of Criticism, 4 essays. Princeton Classics. Volume 70. Princeton, New Jersey. Princeton University Press, published 2020. pp. 89 FFISBN 9780691202563. 10 Small, SGP. 1949. On Allegory in Homer. The Classical Journal 44, 7 423. 11 Domritsky, M. 2017. The Beginnings of Greek Allegorsis. Classical World 110, 3301. 12 H. Dials and W. Kranz. 1951. Die Fragment der Vorsokratiker, Volume 1. 6th ed. Berlin, Weidmann. 126138. 13 H. Dials and W. Kranz. 1951. Die Fragment der Vorsokratiker, Volume 1. 6th ed. Berlin, Weidmann. 5152. 14 Elliott, R.K. 1967. Socrates and Plato's Cave. Kant Studien. 58, to 138. Do, 10.1500.cand.1967.58.1-4.137. S2 SID 17020137-4. 15 Martianus Capella and the Seven Liberal Arts, The Marriage of Philology and Mercury. Volume 2. Translated by Still, William Harris, Johnson, Richard, Birch, E.L. Print ed. New York, Columbia University Press. 1977. 16 Lamberton, Robert, 1986. Homer the Theologian, Neoplatonist Allegorical Reading and the Growth of the Epic Tradition. University of California Press. ISBN 9780520066076. JSTOR 10.1525/J.CTT1 PPP1K. 17 Kalian, Florin George, 2013. Dolly Lover, Lucy, Ryder, Jeff, Zyrony, Alessandro, eds. Clarifications of Obscurity, Proclus Allegorical Reading of Plato's Parmenides, Medium Evum Quotidianum. Krems, Institut für Religion des Mittelalters und der frühen Neuzeit, pp. 1531, retrieved. 6 November, 2019. 18 Kennedy, Georgia. 1999. Classical Rhetoric and its Christian and Secular Tradition from Ancient to Modern Times, 2nd ed. UNC Press. p. 142. ISBN 0-8078-4769-0. Retrieved 7 August, 2009. 19 Jones, Alexander, ed. 1968. The Jerusalem Bible, Readers ed. Doubleday and Company. pp. 1186, 1189. ISBN 0-385-01156-3. 20 Fortunationis Aquilaensis, 2017. Commentary on the Gospels, English translation and Introduction, PDF. De Gruyter. p. 19 to 10.1515/9783110516371. ISBN 978-3-11-0516371-1. Archived, PDF, from the original on 9 October 2022. 21 Portrait of a Lady, called Elizabeth, Lady Tanfield by unknown artist. Artfund.org. Artfund. 22 Harrison, Peter, 2001. Introduction. The Bible, Protestantism, and the Rise of Natural Science. Cambridge University Press. p. 110. ISBN 0-521-59196-1. 23 Revised Memoir of Newton, Normalized Version. The Newton Project. Retrieved 13 March, 2017. 24 Littlefield, Henry, 1964. The Wizard of Oz, Parable on Populism. American Quarterly, 16, 147. 58 to 10.2307/2710826. 25 Baum, L. Frank, 2000. The Annotated Wizard of Oz, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Norton. p. 101. ISBN 978-0-393-04992-3. 26 Bogstad, Janice M. Cavaney, Philip E., eds. 9 August 2011. Picturing Tolkien Essays on Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings film trilogy. McFarland. p. 189. ISBN 978-0-7864-8473-7. 27 The Fairy Queen work by Spencer. Encyclopedia Britannica. Retrieved 12 October 2020. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 28 The Scarlet Letter Summary, Analysis, Characters, and Facts. Encyclopedia Britannica. Retrieved 12 October 2020. 29 Animal Farm, Andy Serkis directed adaptation of George Orwell's Allegory acquired by Netflix. Wonderfully Curated News. Retrieved 12 October 2020. 30 Rum, Jake, 26 April 2017. Misery Loves Company. The New Inquiry. Retrieved 12 October 2020. 31 Roppolo, Joseph Patrick. Meaning and the Mask of the Red Death, collected in Poe, a collection of critical essays, edited by Robert Regan. Inglewood Cliffs, N.J., Prentice Hall, Inc., 1967. p. 137. 32 Sullivan, James, 2 October 2020. What really made Salem the Witch City? The Boston Globe. bostonglobe.com. Retrieved 12 October 2020. 33 Cassilia Rentmeister, The Muses, Banned from Their Occupations, Why Are There So Many? Allegories Female. English summary from Kvinnovitenskaplig Tidskrift, NR.4 1981, Lund, Sweden as PDF. Retrieved 10. July 2011. Original version in German, Berufsverbot für die Museen. Warum sind so? Weil Allegorien weiblich. In Aesthetic und Communication, NR 25/1976. S92112. Langfassung in Frauen und Wissenschaft. Beatrage zur Berliner Sommeruniversität für Frauen, July 1976, Berlin 1977. S.258297. With illustrations. Full texts online, Cassilia, Silly, Rentmeister, Publications. Further reading, edit. Fry, Northrop, 1957, Anatomy of Criticism. Fletcher, Angus, 1964, Allegory, The Theory of a Symbolic Mode. Foucault, Michel, 1966, The Order of Things. Jain, Shampata AI, 1919. The Key of Knowledge, 2nd ed. Allahabad, The Central. Jaina Publishing House. Retrieved 17 November 2015 via Internet Archive. Schwartz, Lilia Moritz, 1998. As Barbas do Imperador, de Pedro II, Monica Numbers Tropicos. In Portuguese. São Paulo, Companhia das Letras. ISBN 85-7164-837-9. External links, edit. Dictionary of the History of Ideas, Allegory in Literary History. Electronic Antiquity, Richard Levi's, Allegory and the Eclogue's Roman definitions of allegoria, and interpreting Virgil's Eclogues. What is an allegory? Introduction to allegory. Categories: allegory, figures of speech, narrative techniques, poetic devices. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF.